that is hard because I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've experienced like identity crisis because I was too dark to be too dark to be Filipino, too yellow to be Nigerian. And like my music tastes back in the day when I was listening to a lot of music, my interest in like movies and stuff is so Western. So as like couldn't fit in, I feel like that was the major challenge. I think it happens to a lot of third culture kids where they experience like identity crisis.
Welcome to Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions. I'm your host, Saida Gomez. Today I have the pleasure of asking MaryImasuen 21 questions. Mary, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Super excited to be
I'm
here.
I know, and thank you for coming on. It's been a while since we've actually had a chance to talk, so I'm looking forward to catching up through 21 questions.
Yay, I'm all here for it.
Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, so I'm gonna make an attempt because I suck at introductions, but hi, my name is MaryImasuen, and I'm the global marketing manager at Fedi, and I also do esports and operation support at Thunder Games. And I do a lot of things in the Bitcoin space, although currently on a hiatus. I stream Bitcoin only games on Twitch as a way to create awareness about the existence of Bitcoin games and let people know that Bitcoin games and earning Bitcoin while you play can be fun. And
Yeah.
then another thing that I love to do once in a while is to show people how possible it is to live the Bitcoin lifestyle, which doesn't just involve like buying things with Bitcoin, also like making sure that Bitcoin shows up on the daily things that you do, like reading, writing, whatever it is you're interested in. And yeah, that's basically me.
Very nice, very nice. So, on Ask a Bitcoiner 21 questions, the goal is to through 21 questions in 10 minutes. One person has done it, Flo, she's legendary now. And a lot of people would like to do it, but there's always a question that kind of sucks you in and throws you off your game if you're trying to do it in 10 minutes. I will ask the questions in a random order. There's one surprise question that I swapped out.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I sent you the questions ahead of time, but I think it's a like pretty cool and easy, straightforward question. And I read the first question before I start the timer.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. No questions for me before we get started?
What happens if we exceed the timer? Because I know I will.
Well, actually, 2 episodes ago, I started to implement the sad trombone womp womp when the person like goes over the 10 minutes. It's all good though. Like
It's hilarious. I
I
love it.
I may do something differently, but if you hear it, do not feel offended. It's just, I
No,
think it's
that's
funny.
fun. Let's go.
Let's go. You ready? So the timer is set to 10 minutes right here. I got my little question box. I've got the first question that I will read now. First question. How did you discover Bitcoin?
Oh, fun fact. I actually discovered Bitcoin when I was a freelance writer in 2015. One of my clients reached out to me and asked if they could pay me in Bitcoin. I didn't know what Bitcoin was or how to go about it. Luckily for me, my sister was like, okay, tell them yes that you accept Bitcoin. And she set up my whole Bitcoin wallet. And that was my first ever interaction with Bitcoin.
Nice. Good sister. Next question. What's one unexpected lesson you've learned from hosting your podcast that has changed the way you approach conversations or content creation?
Oh, okay. So for the podcast, it is not sending questions to my guests in advance because I know because I really want the conversation to be very fluid and I can never expect what the response would be. So if I have
Mm-hmm.
like certain set questions and I have to keep going through the questions, I do not know how to fit in an extra question. So I don't set questions. I just set, like, in my head, I just set what are areas that I want to talk about and just let the questions flow from there, because one of the biggest lessons for me and as a podcaster is to be extremely selfish with the knowledge. So it's like, what do I want to learn from this person?
Oh, yeah,
And
okay.
obviously
Yeah.
there are other people out there who would benefit from the knowledge anyway. So yeah.
Noted. What are some things you've purchased with Bitcoin in real life?
Oh, okay. So the most recent one is a bottle of water. I went to Kenya and I traveled to a place called Kisi, which is about maybe 6 to 8 hours from Nairobi. And I met Kelvin from Bitcoin Chama, and he showed us one of the merchants that he onboarded to Bitcoin. So we bought a bottle of water there. And then the guys got yogurt, so that was super cool. And that's recently. I was in Kenya in July.
Very nice. What is your favorite country to visit?
Oh man, that's hard. Okay, I'm gonna be. Oh man, this is hard. So I can't pick one country, unfortunately. I'm gonna be biased, and one of my favorite is Philippines. Beautiful beaches, lovely people. I know Bali is not a country, Indonesia is, but I've always wanted to go to Bali, and it did not disappoint me when I went to the Indonesia Bitcoin conference. So Bali's great. Highly recommend. They're doing the conference next year. And then the third is Kenya. I really love Kenya. I felt like it's, especially Nairobi, seemed to be the best place for me because I was born in a multicultural background, so I felt like more at home there for some reason.
What's a lifestyle hack you can't live without?
Oh man, lifestyle hack I can't live without. That that is hard. I think just laugh at everything.
Laugh? Yeah.
Laugh at everything. Like people say that the way I laugh is like a coping mechanism. Maybe it is, I don't know, but it has helped me calm down.
That's deep.
And laugh at myself all the time. So I guess, yeah, can never stop laughing.
What does your family think about Bitcoin?
Oh, so they're all into Bitcoin. My sister brought Bitcoin to the house first. Then it solved a problem my dad had with payment issues in Nigeria. So my dad got into it second, and then I have a coconut head, so I got into it third. And then my mom, she got into Bitcoin through playing Bitcoin games, actually. So we're all very into Bitcoin in my family.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak 2 languages, English and Turkish. And then, just a little French here. And then sometimes I joke saying I intuitively understand Tagalog because it sounds familiar, even though I don't understand what they're saying. But yeah, officially 2 languages.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh man, when I saw that question the first time, I was like, I don't know. Um, but one of the things that I do see myself doing next 5 years is one, supporting more communities, and empowering people through Bitcoin. So like showing them how they could use their skills in the Bitcoin space, and then supporting a lot of creators through Bitcoin as well. And then 5 years, hopefully one day, like invest in some Bitcoin companies. So that's like a big dream.
What impact has Bitcoin had on your life?
A lot. I don't even know where to start. I think so I'm a multi-passionate person, and to make use of all the things I'm interested in the real world is hard. There's high competition. But I feel like in Bitcoin has allowed me to really explore my potential in different areas, and they allow me, and the space allows me to just go wild with my ideas. Like streaming Bitcoin games was a wild idea. I'm not a gamer like per se in the real sense of the word, but I just went with the idea of streaming Bitcoin games, and the Bitcoin space really supported me through it all. So yeah, I think that's how it has really impacted my life, like the amazing support to my crazy ideas.
So this is best of all cultures. Name one tradition or value from each of your cultures that you integrate into your daily life.
Okay, so for those who don't know, I'm half Nigerian, half Filipino, but born in Turkey. So these three countries have greatly influenced my life. So starting from Turkey, I would say like it's in the way a girl should behave and her mindset. Because my dad always spoke about it. Like he went to school in Turkey, so he got to see how people behaved, and he was always fascinated about how like the women in Turkey are very like modest in their way of thinking as well. Like they really respect themselves. So we are only two girls in my family, so he passed those values over to us, and sharing the stories about the women in his life that he's met in Turkey who really inspired him through their upright behavior. So I feel like that's one major thing from Turkey. And then from the Philippines, I would say it is just being accepting of people, and like one thing about Filipinos is that they know how to adapt really well with people, and like it is, for example, the Filipinos in Nigeria, it's not uncommon for you to hear them say like, I went to the roadside and ate food from a local restaurant, and to some people it'll be shocking, but for them it's like, yeah, they're human beings like me, it's food, we are gonna eat food together. So that really nice like down to earth kind of mindset and living is something that was passed down to me, and I really attribute Philippines to that. And then the third one from Nigeria, I don't know if, well, I mean, so my dad is not a traditional African. They used to call him the black white man when he was growing up because people thought he was really weird. But for me, I think in Africa, one thing that is really held in high esteem is respect. So my dad sort of took it further, and it's like you have to greet everybody, like even up to the gate man, your Uber driver, like no matter their background or the kind of work that they do, they're human beings like you. So he used to tell stories about how he would like make friends with the gardener and when he was working in his workplace, or friends with the gate man, and at the end of the day they even started like telling him about all the, oh my gosh, did I miss
time.
10 minutes? I knew I was
That's 10 minutes now. Can I tell you, like, I was like, oh, I've got so many follow-up questions, but I'm not going to disrupt her flow. And let's just let the 10 minutes go by so I could, like, indulge a little bit more. Yay. But that is 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I knew I was not going to make it, and I didn't fail myself.
It was at the 2-minute, 30-second mark when you talked about Turkish women, where I was like, ooh, this is good. But she's got 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Don't mess it up for her. So let her keep talking.
Yeah, happy to answer.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Hold on. You've gotten through so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 questions. And I thought you were... Yeah, that's pretty good. 1 minute per question until this one came up and you were like, well.
Oh my gosh.
So continue.
Um, yeah, so my dad would tell stories about how the gate man or the gardener would tell him about all the shit that his colleagues would say about him. Uh, so
Yeah.
he wouldn't have heard that if he were nice to people. So I think that's something that really
Yeah.
surprised a lot of people about I and my sister because we just say hi to everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the
I'm
things.
very much like that as well. Yep. And back to Turkish women. So I had Dr. Emma Patu, who has the Dream Grad Academy and BitcoinMentor.io, who said that her dream is to visit Turkey. I had Stackmore a few weeks ago talk about Turkey. The scenery was like beautiful behind him. I started watching, I don't know if you've seen on Netflix, I think it's called Thank You Next or something like that. It's my first
Oh,
Turkish
I've seen it, but I've not
drama or
watched it yet.
whatever. And like the scenery looks really cool. The fashion looks really like it's vibrant and stuff. I did make note of the femininity of the characters and thought it was pretty cool. So I'm intrigued by Turkey. And so what you say kind of like jumps out at me because right now I've got my eye on visiting Turkey.
Oh, please do. It's a really beautiful place, and there's just so much to see. I don't think you can appreciate Turkey in a week. That's impossible. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I, my dad was extremely fascinated about the self-respect that Turkish women have. Back in the day, they still do. Like, and he passed on those traditional values to us. So yeah, just to tell you like the amount of self-respect, like they will not. There's some things that are like mainstream right now, like it's not a big deal, but like he said back in the day, it might have changed, because I've not been there in a while.
Hmm.
Modernity and everything. But back in the day, like you could not okay, say for example, if you were not engaged to the man that you're seeing, it's
Yeah.
not advisable to be in a public place where they see you holding hands,
Oh,
but by the time
wow.
you have the promise ring, like it's like you've
Yeah.
asked the hand of the girl from the father, like then people see you as okay, these are guys are on their way to get married, so now you can go out, be seen in public, and because with you, since you both have the promise ring on, like they're gonna respect the relationship, so it's not more open.
Yeah.
So it's like women then were really dating for marriage, and they kept themselves that way. So those are like
Yeah.
that's one out of several things that my dad
Yeah.
does. So yeah.
I've flown through the Turkish airport a few times. And one thing I noticed, so this is like sort of like a microcosm in the airport, but one thing I noticed was how like nicely presented the Turkish women were. I mean, I was like, wow, I had no idea that it was this level of, I'm here, this is how I'm presenting myself to the world. I look beautiful, I look after myself. I was very impressed.
Yeah, there are situations where maybe their friends would call them over to their house and they would literally go to the hair salon to have their hair done before they go to their friend's place.
Oh, wow.
There
They must
just
not have
certain
children, though.
certain gatherings. There are certain gatherings. Like I'm gonna go meet with the girls, and they literally will go to the hair salon. I don't know if it's the
Yeah.
case then, but case now, but then, yeah, that's a normal thing.
Yeah, which I like. I mean, I like it's not pragmatic for me personally because I like to play sports and sweat and stuff, but it's something that I look forward to seeing one of these days.
You should.
So, moving on, next question. What are some easy ways for people to add Bitcoin to their daily routines?
I would always recommend that you check what your routine is. So if you're the kind of person that
Hmm.
wakes up in the morning, you exercise. I mean, you already know S Miles is the app that
Yeah.
you should use to like stack
Yeah.
sats and do your exercise. If you're the kind of person who like reads the newspaper in the morning or reads news, like there's the Bitcoin magazine app, where you could do that. If you're the kind of person that likes to read articles and like share your ideas, like you can do that on Stacker News, and people do send stats to you for writing good comments. So yeah, I would like look at your daily life. If you love listening to music when you're on the treadmill or whatever, go to Wav Lake and listen to the music, and maybe while you're at it, you can support a creator on Wav Lake using Bitcoins. So that's the easiest way to incorporate Bitcoin into your daily life, even if you're not buying anything. I feel like buying something with Bitcoin is the most common one.
Go ahead.
But like there are other things you can do.
Yeah. Totally. And if you love podcasts like Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions, you can stream it on Fountain and get sats for listening. Shameless plug. Okay, so what's Thunder Games?
Thunder Games is a Bitcoin gaming studio. So they create games and also recently APIs to support like game developers. Like they have the Thunder API, which is out there right now. And then they have 6 games, and then they have Clinch, which is a PvP skill-based wagering game. Yeah, they have all these amazing games, and they have an amazing community as well. One thing that we're trying to introduce is education as well. So they've been doing gaming news show called The Thunder Show, which we went live yesterday. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How has growing up between different cultures shaped your sense of identity?
Oh, that is hard because I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've experienced like identity crisis, because I was too dark to be Filipino, too yellow to be Nigerian. And like my music tastes back in the day when I was listening to a lot of music, my interest in like movies and stuff is so Western. So I was like couldn't fit in. I feel like that was the major challenge. But I think the older I got, the more I started to embrace the fact that all these different cultures that I was exposed to is part of my identity. And so whenever I'm asked to talk about myself, I can't help mentioning it because that's just part of who I am now.
Yeah.
So I guess despite the challenges, one of the things that helped me out was like, instead of fighting it and trying to be you in one place, just embrace the fact that you're a mix of all. I think it happens to a lot of third culture kids where they experience like identity crisis. I know I'm not the only one. I've heard a bunch of people who have the same things, but acceptance is, I guess, the way to go, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and I find it fascinating. I think there are parallels between Bitcoin's borderless nature, and for those of us who have lived or experienced multiple cultures, the understanding that you don't have to be in one specific box. I guess most people, or people for the most part, grow up in a singular culture with one language, with sort of limited geographic movement and stuff. So everything is sure for them.
Yeah.
But as soon as you integrate multiple languages, multiple borders, different, going back to beauty, even beauty standards, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable within this context, your brain just keeps spinning. And maybe by default, we want to say that we belong in one particular place, but that's not always the case. And so I think Bitcoin kind of like gives like this release kind of thing to say it's okay to be borderless or have a different definition of identity.
Our identity is decentralized.
Yeah, exactly, right? More resilient. Oh, maybe I should say decentralized identity.
That should be a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And drafting this question, I also thought of my daughter. It's not quite the same scenario as you because, um, so I'm English speaking. My husband is French speaking. He's Francophone. And here where we live, people do speak French, even though neither my husband nor me were from here. So I thought of her in asking you the question, so I get a different sense of how she could actually experience her life in a culture that doesn't belong to her mom or dad.
But it's going to be an exciting journey for her, to be honest. Such people are
Yeah,
very, very
yeah,
special. So, yeah.
yeah.
Welcome
See,
to
you're
the team.
special. You just gave yourself a compliment. So name your dream destination.
Oh man. Um, so my dream destination for the longest time was Bali, and I feel like I've achieved that now, so I don't have any more. I feel like if I die today, I'll die happy because I went to my dream destination already. But right now I don't have any in mind, but there are places I'm quite curious about. Like, I would love to explore Latin America. I think that would
Hmm.
be really awesome. But I'm not sure where exactly. But I guess the next dream would be Latin America.
Very nice. So this is the bonus question or the surprise question. What is your favorite all-time app ever? Could be Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, but just an app that you just love.
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. Um,
I, I think it's
wow.
Frozen.
No, it's just me trying to figure out what app I'm gonna say.
Oh, I'm like staring like, is it Frozen?
I would say, I would say it's Fedi. And the reason for this is that it has everything that I need. Plus, I can expand the capability of the Fedi app by adding more web apps to it. So I don't have to leave the
Very
app or
nice.
download other apps and just have everything in one place. I think that sums it all up. I can't wait to get to a point where I get to add more Bitcoin games in my own Fedi app, which would be super cool. I think I one game that I tried which worked was Satoshi's Goal, which is a football game or soccer game or some people. Um, but yeah, that was really exciting to see in the Fedi app.
Well, that's a nice lead into or segue into the next question, which is what's the best Bitcoin game to earn sats?
Right now, right now is Clinch, and Clinch is spelled CLINCH. It is done created by Thunder Games, and it is a P ver P wait player versus player skill based wagering game. So the idea is we're both playing the same game at the same time, and if you're able to win the game and get like a higher score over your opponent, you win sats. So what's really cool is that in order to start the game, both of you have to wager some amount of sats, and the winner takes all. And there have been people
Oh,
who have
nice.
been wagering like $6, $10, and then they win. I think
Oh no,
I
it's cut out on my end, so I didn't hear the amount. I'm left in
oh
suspense. They've been wagering how much?
no. Some people have wagered like $6,
Ah,
$10 on the Clinch app. So, and they've been winning a lot, which is really cool. They have the Clinch leaderboard right now, so you get to see how much people earn daily from the game.
mm-hmm.
And what's really good is that it's all based on how good you are at that game. So I would say that's a game that would earn you more right now in the whole Bitcoin gaming space.
Very good. I'll include a link in the show notes. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Wow. Hi, younger me. Uh, yeah, don't be afraid to do your crazy ideas because they will work. And even if they don't, at least you tried, which is fun. And I'm sure you would have fun trying it out. And more often than not, you probably would have been the first person ever doing that thing. So stop overthinking and like second guessing yourself and self-sabotaging because it's a waste of time. I know, I've been there.
So earlier you mentioned third culture kid. What is a third culture kid for people who don't know, and for me too?
So I would say, well, my definition of it would be you're from different cultures. Maybe your mom is from a different country, your dad's from a different country, and you adapt a third culture, which is the place you probably were born or you're
Hmm.
living right now, as your own. So you are not fully from that country or that culture is not 100% yours because you are obviously impacted from the influence of your mom and dad or even the community around you.
Yeah.
So that's a third culture kid, in my definition.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. In Toronto, so when I was going to school, most of the kids were like their parents are from the UK or my parents from Trinidad and Tobago. And it's crazy because we all did kindergarten through high school together, and our backgrounds are different, but our school sort of culture is identical. A few years ago on Facebook, someone started typing something our music teacher used to do, and everyone got on and just completed it. It was quite remarkable to see how we had our own thing going on, even though our parents were from elsewhere. But I think Canada is a different kind of place in terms of culture. The country is not as old as Nigeria or as Turkey or as the Philippines. It doesn't have its own traditions that spanned like 500 years or 1,000 years, especially a country like Turkey. So I guess it's easier for second or third culture kids in a context like Canada compared to Nigeria or Turkey.
I mean, I guess you're right, but when you're that young and you live among like people from different cultures or you go to school with people from different cultures, you can't help picking up their cultures too. Like when I
Yeah.
was little, I my closest friends were Indonesian
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was invited to many of their cultural displays and stuff, so it became a part
Yeah.
of my life in a weird way. I think for people who went to the same school you went to growing up, um, even though the Canadian culture may not be that old, but like the fact that you grew up with close friends from with different cultures, it also impacts your perception to culture, and you pick it up
Oh, most definitely.
in interesting way. Like my closest friends when I was growing up were
Yeah.
Indonesian, so I got to see like a lot of their cultural displays, went to their homes, and a lot of their culture stuck, like such that when I visited Bali for the first time, like everything around me was so familiar. Like I've seen this before, this
Yeah.
it doesn't this doesn't look weird or strange to me. And I kind of felt like I fit right in. Um,
Yep.
so it happens. Like for example, if I also had like a lot of people from different like Mediterranean countries, like
Hmm.
so their music, their food, their culture impacted me one way or another. And I still carry it with me till this day. And
Yeah.
as a child, you don't know what you have. It's only when you meet people that it's like, this thing is familiar and I don't know why I do this thing, but let's just keep doing it. So I feel like it's also a factor when it comes to being a third culture kid.
Yeah. Yep. When you speak, I think of accent, because So the Canadian accent and the American accent to anyone not from the US or Canada sounds the same or very similar, but there are differences. And the number of times when I'm in the States where people are like, where are you from? Why do you talk like that? And it's like the result of just growing up in Toronto, especially during that time. My parents sending me to French immersion and not being around, I guess, the urban scene until like junior high, high school. So I'm very aware of, as you say, when you see other people, you're like, hey, oh, yes, I am like that. And I remember I have a distinct memory of hearing my voice as like a young adult and thinking, oh my God, I do sound like that. Like, for the alphabet, instead of saying Z, which is what is commonly said in the US, I say Z. And I'm mindful
Oh,
of that. So I'm like, I remember one guy, he was like, what did you say? Z? He's like, and the rapper, is it Jay-Z or Jay-Z? And I was like, okay. It's my accent. I own it. What you said earlier about embracing yourself, I fully understand that I'm like a nerd and I come across that way, and that is okay. I'm not cool and I own it.
yeah. Even like so, I and my sister, we sound very different. People say we look alike. I highly dispute it, but we sound very different. So I speak slowly. Her
Mhm.
English is a lot faster and it's heavily accented. Like it has a very heavy American accent.
Oh,
Mine
wow.
isn't like that. So when you hear her speak, you think we are probably brought up in different eras. And one time I brought it up to my dad, and my dad was like, I mean, it's understandable because she grew up when she was born. She watched, I can't remember what he said. I think she watched more Nickelodeon than you did. You are exposed to a different kind of
Ah.
cartoon. I was like, huh, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Is it Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network? I can't remember what he said, but he's like, you were exposed to a different kind of cartoon when you were born.
Okay, so this is the third last question. You mentioned Fedimint earlier. What is Fedimint?
I'm so Fedi is actually the community super app, and it is run by communities for the communities. Fedimint is the protocol that Fedi runs on. So
Okay, yeah.
Fedi is the app, Fedimint is the protocol. So that's how I would differentiate the two when because people get the two mixed
Hmm.
up. So Fedi the app, Fedimint the protocol, and Fedi is built on Fedimint. Yeah. So that's the difference between the two of them.
You answered this earlier. Have you ever gotten paid in Bitcoin?
Yes. First time 2015, and um then I didn't earn Bitcoin afterwards, but then I got to learn more about Bitcoin and got down the rabbit hole sometime late 2020, early 2021, and I've been earning or receiving Bitcoin and payment ever since then. So 2021 to date.
Okay, so the last question is, how do your cultures complement each other?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think anyone has ever asked that question to me before. They, uh, okay, so according to my mom and dad, when they got married, they decided on the kind of culture they wanted to bring I and my sister up in. And I'm and this is just an educated guess because I'm not really sure how it happens. You never are aware of how you're um adapting in a particular culture until maybe you have to
Mhm.
stop and think about it. So I'm thinking that because the two of them agreed to create their own culture by adding cultures and traditions from their backgrounds and also from where they were living, that initial agreement formed the foundation for the other cultures to be built on top of it. So any other new
Oh.
thing that I and my sister got from like watching people, being in the midst of people, was filtered through that sieve. So sometimes when I and my sister would talk about, people and like cultures and backgrounds, like there are times when we're like, nah, that doesn't fit very well. I don't think I really like this. Like, oh, I don't know why people's a certain kind of culture is this way. So it's like that's us unconsciously like sieving through what we like and what we don't like. And
Yeah.
because we had that foundation, it's intuitive. It was
Mhm.
kind of intuitive for us. So that's how they all got woven together, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
because when I get to travel and meet other cultures that don't agree with my own, um, I say this respectfully, right? Like, if you are brought up in like very conservative, if you have a very conservative upbringing, you're hearing like stories from your dad about certain kind of women that he has come across that inspired him, and then you have like the conservative upbringing from the Philippine side because my mom was really conservative, and then you meet people with different cultures and it's like, whoa, it gives you that kind of shock. That thing happened to me one time. I was like,
Hmm.
ooh, that is weird. I had to be like, please give me a minute. I need to, you know, I need to like
Yeah.
calm down and like absorb this because it's a huge shock because I can never see my sister doing this to me or my mom or dad doing this to me or me experiencing this from my family household. So like I do
Hmm.
get culture shock, and I think that's because like in my head there's a sieve already and that's how they all blend. I hope that answers your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. 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 It's fascinating. It's culture and the values that our parents instill in us are so anchored in who we are. And so whenever there is something that clashes against that, we feel that um what's the word I'm looking for? We feel the difference. Like it's almost visceral sometimes. I know that
Mhm.
with my parents from being from Trinidad and Tobago, I went as a baby. I lived there for like 2 years. I was born in Toronto. I went there, and then I visited in 2009. That said, the Trini influence in Toronto is quite pronounced, especially around carnival time. And we've got roti shops, double shops, Polari shops. I can get like food that I really like. So I would say that I have definitely, and I keep with me, music, soca. If I'm in a bad mood, I can put it on. I can start dancing. I can whine, and I feel very good instantly. So music, food, and I think a smiley sort of disposition in general. Approach people with a smile is just the way I am. And so bringing that with me to a context where there people are conservative in a different way. It's not religious conservative. It's more I'm protecting my assets conservative. And so,
Yeah.
like, walking down the street, if you see someone and you say hi, kind of thing, with a smile, it's shocking. It's like, oh, is she trying to hit on me because no one smiles? So,
Hmm.
like, when you confront, that's the word I'm looking for, situations or a context where people just operate and move differently, you really feel the difference.
I know. Oh my gosh, that is so true. I That reminds me of something that happened when I was in Nairobi. I know that Nairobi is very different from like other regions in Kenya, so I'm using that as
Yeah.
for context purposes. So like I live in Lagos right now, which is a busy city, like just like the way Nairobi is. But one thing about here is that you have to greet everybody. You can't just pass people
Yeah.
by. They'll think you're rude. And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
shame my family. I know that they brought me up well, so I'm gonna to say hi to everybody. So I thought it was the same in Nairobi. And so I'll
Oh,
just pass by people and
yeah.
say, "Oh, hello. Good morning. Good afternoon." And they gave me one look and I was like, "Okay, you guys don't do that around here."
Oh, that's so fascinating.
But I was later told that in other parts of Kenya, like greeting your neighbors
Yeah.
and saying hi to everybody is a normal thing. It's just that it's because it's in a busy city, like people try to keep themselves. But like
Yeah. Oh, I
it's
see. Yep.
it's hard to do that here in Lagos because like greeting is a huge part of the Yoruba culture. So yeah, like to, like I'm not Yoruba, but like greeting is a huge part of the Yoruba culture to the point that they have a greeting for everything. If you see two people playing a game, there's a special greeting for them. If you see someone like, they're making your hair, like you're putting your hair in braids, there's a special greeting for that person. If you see someone sitting down to eat, there's a special greeting for that person while you're passing them by.
Oh,
If you've not
wow.
seen your friend in a long time, there's a special greeting for that as well. So like, um, yeah, so not greeting
So
or saying
is the
hi is a
greeting
thing.
about is it about the activity that the person is in, or if you could translate in English, how would the greeting go? If someone's doing their hair versus if you haven't seen someone in a long time. Is it like, "Hi, you're
Um,
doing your hair. I'm glad that you're doing your hair," or is it I
I
sorry,
think
that
it's
I hope that
so
doesn't
I'm
come
not
across as condescending, but
so I'm I so I don't speak Yoruba, but the little that I was taught. So for example, your son is sitting down, you say eku joko, which is like happy sitting, I guess, like happy
oh,
sitting
okay.
down.
Yeah. Mhm.
Then if you've not seen the person in a long time, it's like ekuje meta, like it's been 3 days since I last saw you, kind of thing. So I guess it's
Oh,
situational.
that's quite romantic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes they try to translate it in
So in
English.
French,
Like
you say,
they're they try to translate it in English in a way. Like for example, there's a day in Lagos where it's dedicated to people cleaning up their shops. So it's called environmental and it's
mhm.
every Thursday. So if you're walking on the street and it's the day of environmental, people say happy environmental in English. They say happy Sunday, happy Monday, happy Saturday, happy Friday. So they try to translate the whole greeting in English. It's just so fascinating. But like I said, I'm not Yoruba, so I hope someone could give more clarification, but like that's was what I was told.
Yeah. I kind of like that. It's uh so my mom is very Christian, and so she tried to get us to say grace before our meals.
Mhm.
We never really sat down to eat together because everyone was busy with their own things, but that was a thing that she kind of instilled in me. And living in a French speaking culture, you always say bon appetit. It's very
Mhm.
um casual, and I admit that I kind of like, taking a moment to wish the person, that they eat well and they wish me that I eat well. Like it means something to me now. It's been over 10 years that I've been here, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah, it's so nice. In Turkey, they have a special one to the person who prepared the meal. So they say ellerine sağlık, which literally
Oh,
means
beautiful.
may your hands be healthy. Kind of a way to appreciate the person who put in effort into fixing the meal.
That is, I like that. I let's bring it back. Let's
Yes, please.
what is something we could say to our developers in the Bitcoin space? Like happy developing, or keep your brain and coding skills healthy, or
Oh man, that's a good one. I don't know. I would say ellerine sağlık because like may hands be healthy for like putting together this app or for building this
yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
ellerine sağlık or ellerinize sağlık. So
Elena
to more
Salik.
people.
Elena Sasalik. Elena Sasalik.
Oh my
Yes, I'll
God.
look for the Turkish writing of that and add it. I'll make this a clip. Elena Sasalik to all the developers. Every morning, instead of good morning, it'll be that.
Yes, that would be so cool. Let's do this.
We'll make it a thing. Well, Mary, thank you so much for answering 21 questions. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that we can speak again more frequently instead of letting 2 years go by. Yes?
Yes, definitely.
Can you let people know where to? Yeah, is it like time does go by, and yes, what was the meme I saw the other day? It's like, when you say, yeah, we're gonna talk soon, and then like, a year goes by, that is very real. Can you let people know where they can find you on socials?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter or now X. My handle is at MaryImasuen. That's MARY_IMASUEN. And then you can find me on NOSTR as well, under MaryImasuen, no underscore. And I'm on Instagram if you want to see like random stuff I post. I sometimes post stuff on my stories relating to my culture, so if you're interested in that, you could follow me there. But yeah.